over here and do a broadcast. Hey guys, we're just getting settled on here and we're going to invite the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lou Brown in just a moment here. So as we're getting settled in here, know that we are on Zoom. We're on Zoom. For those of you that are on Zoom, we can use the chat feature, the Q&A feature back and forth live. And then those of you that are following along with us on Facebook, know that you can use the comment section. So let us know where you're tuning in from today. I see we've got Ben on, we got Brian on, Ethan's on, Mario's on, Sergio's on, and it looks like our famous guest is on. Mr. Lou Brown's coming on too. So we're going to introduce Lou in just a couple of minutes here. We'll make sure his audio and mic and all that kind of stuff's working. We've got a fun topic today. We're going to be talking about flattening the real estate curve. So as everyone knows, there's been a pretty big shakeup in the marketplace. When it comes to times like this where things shake, you want to really count on wisdom. You want to count on experts that know this stuff. And one of my mentors is who we get to interview today, someone that has already lived through several shakeups in the marketplace today. So I'm excited to have him on. Lou, let us know, does your audio work okay? Everything testing okay on your end?
Can you hear me, Nate?
Hey, we can.
Hey, what I don't see is how to turn the video on. Is that something you can do from your side?
Let's see. Let's make you a host and then should go. And then we'll go. And I see we got more people signing on right now.
Yeah,
Hi,
baby.
Melissa, Amber's on. Awesome. And then our Facebook feeds are filling up right now too. All right. And then Ahmad's on. Awesome. Lou, does your video work okay now?
It is not showing me an option on video.
Okay. We're going to change you to the host then.
Okay.
All right. How about now?
Alrighty. Let me open that part up. Nope. All right. See what it does now.
Now you're fully in charge. So I hope it works.
Let's see here.
And for our friends that are just signing on, welcome. Pleasure to have you. We got a bunch more people that just jumped on. Mary Jo, Sergio. We've got Maria on. We've got Kate on. Awesome, guys. Camilo's on. Cool. Here's what we're going to do. We're getting the video set up for Lou right now. Once that's set up, we're going to start interviewing Lou, but we're talking about a special topic today. We're talking about flattening the real estate curve. And for those of you that have not gone through a cycle of real estate yet, or even if you have, it's really important to listen to wisdom during times like this. So we are going to be interviewing Mr. Lou Brown, who's lived several real estate cycles. And not only did he come out prospering on each one, he's got a lot of wisdom that he's learned from it that he's going to be sharing with us going through this today. Lou, do we got video now?
It's, I wonder if it's because I joined before you did, but it's not giving me the option on the video. It says mute my audio. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay,
perfectly.
Great.
Yep.
And then when I'm looking at the list of things next to that little 3-dot thing,
yeah,
it does not give me video as an option. Let's see here. Whoops.
And if worst case scenario, we could, if you wanted to do any kind of PowerPoint stuff, we could go to that. We're just happy you're here, Lou, man. We appreciate you coming and being willing to share, because I know your time is valuable.
Hey! Yeah, baby.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see if that works.
Yeah, this is way better now. We're glad you're
okay.
Lou?
That looks like a plan, huh?
Yes, yes. Well, for anyone that hasn't met Lou yet, this man's semi-famous. He's very humble, so I'm going to introduce him properly anyways. Lou's created, not only has he done a ton of real estate deals himself, but he's created a system that there's well over 3, maybe 4, maybe even 500 people across the country that model, and they use Lou's brand. So he's figured this stuff out not only at a level of a local investor, but on the national frontier. And when we get into a market cycle like this, where there's a shakeup and things happening, for me, like I'm going to mentors and lose one of the best in the country right now on helping people get through this interesting real estate cycle. And I just feel blessed and honored, Lou, that you came to take some time with us today. Thanks for being here, man.
Well, Nate, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I know that there's a lot of questions out there in the world about what's happening in real estate and whether this is crash and burn time, or is this let's go celebrate time, or what is this that we're looking at? And so I love to share with people a little bit of insight into what we do, because this is, Nate, actually my 5th real estate cycle that I'm going into. So there's some experience behind these gray hairs. And certainly having been there and done that now for over 40 years, I've been buying, holding, and selling property. So there's some things that I've seen that work and some things that I've learned that don't work. And so I love sharing that with other people.
Lou, this is five cycles?
This is my start of my 5th real estate cycle. Yes, sir.
Wow. So okay, I know you're going to share some good stuff and whatnot, but where do we go? What are we supposed to do? Like, should we be panicking?
No, actually, this is a different kind of cycle. And one of the things that I want to educate people on is the fact that each cycle came from something, right? So the last cycle was actually a financial crisis cycle, because what they did, Congress in its infinite wisdom, right? So they created the Community Reinvestment Act, and they forced the banks to actually lend to people that they otherwise would have turned down. And so they created loan products to fulfill the requirements of the Community Reinvestment Act. And so as a result, they loaned a bunch of money to people they shouldn't have loaned money to. And so what it did, of course, is put people in a terrible position, because they were creating loan products like the 228 plan. You might remember that, where for 2 years, the interest rate was way, way low. And then it would zoom up to current interest rates after 2 years. And they were telling the people, but that's fine, not to worry. We're going to qualify you based on this low interest. But 2 years from now, oh, your life is going to look so different. You're going to make so much more money. You'll refinance then. And of course, we know the rest of the story of what happened. And, some people say that that was planned. And I have to kind of gear myself towards that, because everything that we see that creates these turmoils in the marketplace, when you look back on them, it looks very by design to me. And currently we're in this pandemic. You only have to go back a little bit to 2015, and you actually find that the government owns a patent on the coronavirus. So the COVID-19. So, things like that.
Wait, 2015, 2015?
2015. You can look it up. There's actually a patent for this. And in fact, when you look back, you'll find a patent for the AIDS virus, and you'll find other things too. So it's kind of interesting to become awoke to what's really going on, which is the rest of the story is now, how do we benefit from that? How do we take what we know to be true and kind of go into the marketplace? Because there's certainly some people that are geared up to make a lot of money because of this. So if this was created, then what does that result in? And we're seeing it right now. There's amazing money being made right now. And because the last crisis was a financial crisis and this one is a health crisis, then it's going to have a different impact on the economy. We've already seen that in our business. When it first hit, we thought, oh my gosh, Nate, this is going to be terrible news. And we're going to have all kinds of scads of people aren't going to be paying rent. And a very interesting thing happened. People actually did, for the most part, pay their rent. We found out some very interesting things about who actually lives in our properties and what kind of jobs they have. And we discovered that most of them had what's called essential jobs, And so therefore they were getting up and going to work every day. They were making money. That was a good thing. And the ones that didn't, they got the check, of course, the $1,200 check, plus they got the $600 add-on to their unemployment. So they were okay. And they were paying their rent. Now, some of them got a little bit behind, but we made agreements with them. And for the most part, our folks have either paid in full or they're on a payment plan. And we've had very few actual defaults, which I'm very excited to share with you and with everyone, that the sky did not fall, has not fallen. And now we have to consider a couple of other things, because as we look at flattening the curve, right, that was what was sold to us, that the reason we were going to be imprisoned in our own homes was that we were going to flatten the health curve, right? And we were going to cause the hospitals not to be overwhelmed. So I thought about this in relation to my real estate business. And I said, you know what we've done over the years, having been through all these different curves, is actually learned how to flatten a variety of curves in real estate. And I thought about, how do we flatten the buying curve that we're in? So I'm going to talk today, and you can ask me some questions, but I'm going to talk about the buying curve, the holding curve, the selling curve, the protecting curve, the money curve, and the tax curve, and just a lot of things that over the years we've done things in our business to make sure that we don't have problems in those arenas.
Fantastic. I'm going to be taking notes, man.
Yeah, baby.
This is good. And Lou, we had a whole bunch more people sign on too. And I know that a lot of people already know you and had a chance to meet, but for those that don't know you, could you give us just a little bit on your background so we know who this man is that we're talking to?
Well, Nate, as I was saying, I've been buying, holding, and selling property now for over 40 years. I bought my first house when I was 18 years old. And in fact, I put it under contract right before my birthday. So actually closed on it when I was 19. And the cool thing was back then, now, first of all, that was the first house I ever lived in. So the background even before that is I was raised by a single mom. She was a war bride. She came over on the Queen Mary, and she was, all enamored with her new life in the United States, and it was going to be fantastic. And then she found out that her American trooper husband was an alcoholic and an abuser, and she had to leave him. And so I jokingly say, then she met my father, her second mistake. So it ended up just being the two of us. And it was really challenging because we didn't have any money. We literally didn't have any money. And in fact, our dining table was a Samsonite card table until I was 17 years old. And we bought that card table using S&H green stamps, which was like the Bitcoin of the old days. And so, the fun thing was that I got to see life as it really is, so to speak, for a lot of people, and the challenges that people face in their life, and the fact that they don't have any money and they can't make payments, and they have to juggle money, and they have to choose what they're going to pay and choose what they're not going to pay, and make things work as much as they can. And we lived that. We lived that for a long time until I was able to buy my first property. Now, how was I able to buy my property? Because I met this wonderful lady that was a friend of my mother's, and I called my mother's friends aunts and uncles. And so I met one of her friends. I called her Aunt Mabel. And Aunt Mabel told me an amazing story when I was 8 years old. I remember this so well, in the ottoman in her duplex. And she told me, well, we bought the duplex. And of course, I'm a kid. I don't know. I understand the difference between rent and own and different things like that. And she says, yeah, she says, the people on the other side are paying enough money to us in rent to cover the mortgage that we borrowed from the bank. And we own this place. And so my little brain says, oh, and you're living for free. So here we are hiding out from the rent man. And here she is living for free. And that's when I learned that there's parallel universes, right? I learned that there's people with knowledge And there's people like my mother without knowledge. My mother didn't understand that, didn't know that. And so I kind of watched Aunt Mabel. And then the next year she bought the duplex next door, and the people on one side were paying enough money to cover the mortgage and the other money was theirs. And then she bought another one and another one and another one, all on the same street. And they had an amazing life. And then all of a sudden she called me. She says, come on over here and help me move. I'm a teenager now. She says, come on over here and help me move. I said, move where? She said, a brand new house in a brand new subdivision, all brick home, 2-story house. And I said, man, that's amazing. And she said, I said, how did you do this, Aunt Mabel? And she said 2 words that changed my life, Nate. She said, accumulate property. She said, accumulate property. And I said, I got it. I got that. And so what first property I bought, I was able to ask my mother to be my first tenant. And I told her, I said, look, Mom, we're paying $600 a month rent. Take $100 and give it to me so I can cover some expenses. And you take $500 and put it towards your debt, because she had become enamored in debt. And when she needed money, she just went and borrowed it. And she thought money was something to be spent. And if you didn't have it, you spent it anyway. And so we kind of struggled around that, because she was paying like 22% interest, Nate. It was just crazy. Mm-hmm. And so I said, Mom, you got to get rid of this debt. This debt is killing you. You'll never get on the other side of it. Why don't you just go ahead and take this rent money? And so 1.5 years later, sure enough, she was free and clear for the rest of her life. And so there's parallels to a lot of people. And what I learned from that is that people can right the ship in a very quick way. You can get whatever's happening or happened in the past, that you can get on the other side of that so quickly, when you really get the right information. So I love to share that story with people, because they, looking at things from a different point of view. As a kid, I got to see that you could actually live for free. and then I got to see that you could get rid of debt very quickly. And so those items really gave me some insight. And then as a result of that, I was able to buy my first house, and I bought it not the way Aunt Mabel did. So I'm 18, Nate. There's no way I can go to the bank and qualify for a loan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, I can't qualify my way out of a paper bag. And so one thing I learned, and Aunt Mabel turned me on to her real estate agent, and her real estate agent said, get in the car. I got in the car, and we went driving around like I was going to buy a house. But she had information that I didn't have. And she knew about the fact that if it was an FHA loan, then the government would allow you to take over that loan for $45. So in other words, it was an existing loan. For $45, you could step in and take it over. It's called an NENQ loan, non-escalating, non-qualifying loan. It was the most awesome thing on the planet. And of course, as good things go, they took it away from us. So Congress, Garn-St. Germain Act of 1982, put a stop to that. They gave the banks the legal right to put the due upon sale clause in the mortgage. So as a result of that, a lot of people ran with their hands in the air. And I said, hold on, maybe there's another way to do this. Let me read this law. And it was the Garn-St. Germain Federal Depository Institutions Act of 1982, which is still in existence to this day. And when I read the act, what I found, Nate, was that I could actually purchase a property and place it into trust, and the lender was prohibited from calling the loan due. And I went, aha. So I need to learn about these things called trusts. And sure enough, I did. I went about learning everything I could learn about trusts, and then actually having to put the paperwork together, working with a lot of attorneys around the country, got a lot of great information. And so as a result, we were able to develop a program where sellers who wanted to get rid of their property quickly, and they didn't want to delay in that process. And certainly sometimes the numbers aren't enough to spend a whole bunch of money on a new loan. points, closing costs, all those kind of things are expensive. And that eats up a lot of the profit in a deal. So I said, what is it that I can do? Maybe the seller could place their property into trust and I could take over their personal property interests in the trust called the beneficial interest of the trust. So literally I would take over the trust. And that would allow me now to go ahead and continue to make the payments on the loan. So as a result, I was able to flatten the buying curve that way, and the borrowing curve too, because I didn't go to the bank and I didn't qualify for loans. So, you know, as you look at it now, fast forward over 40 years, because of what I learned back then, I learned that I didn't have to go to banks and I didn't have to qualify for loans. And so amazingly, we talked about these different curves. Amazingly, when I got into this business, interest rates were 21% in this country, 21%. Hard to believe it was real during the Carter years. And so as a result of that experience, who could really get into this business? I mean, what could you really do if you're going to the bank and qualifying for a 21% interest loan? Probably not going to buy much real estate or make any money on it for sure. So what I discovered is that I could actually not only take over existing financing, but I could have the seller be the bank on any equity they had in the property. So I perfected that process. And as a result, fast forward 40 years, like I said, I've never been to the bank and I've never qualified for a loan on a single family or small multifamily property because I learned something amazing. I learned that the seller could be the bank. And so that's a little bit of background on me.
And for those of you that didn't catch that, or maybe you did, let me just recap what Lou said. Lou, he said a lot, so I'm only going to give you the highlights here. Lou just gave you the keys to the kingdom for getting unlimited properties without bringing your money to the table, without doing any kind of personal guarantees on debt, without getting into a bad relationship with a bank. Don't even go to the bank. Lou just told you the secret to this. Like, this is incredible. I wish someone would have told me this 14 years ago. This is dynamite. This is why you're here, Lou. This is the good stuff.
Nate, you would be so surprised. So many times I've heard people say that, man, if I would just met you before I went and signed all these mortgages. And it's so true. I mean, I do not trust banks at all. Let's just put that on the table. I do not trust banks at all. They change the game. They merge with others. They do different things with the paperwork. And I've seen too much. I know too much. And I've just said, look, I want to be in this business, but I don't want to put myself at risk. So how is it that I can be in the business and not be at risk? And this is the best thing I've found, because really, as long as you acquire the property in the right way by analyzing it the right way and making sure that you're not putting yourself at risk, as long as you analyze it correctly, then what happens is you're able to come in and purchase that property with the help of the seller. And this is a key part, with the help of the seller. Why would the seller want to help you? Well, for a few reasons, because the seller actually wants to get rid of the property quickly. They really don't want to go through the pain and suffering of, you know, listing the property, selling the property, fixing it up before they list it. Some agents won't even take the listing unless the property's fixed up. Other times they say, you know, by the time they get to the contract, they're going to have to fix up a whole bunch of things before they can actually get the contract closed, or that HUD or an inspection comes in and all of a sudden there's more that they have to do. And so there's a lot of people that are aware of that. They just say, you know what, forget about it. I don't want to do that. I just would love to find somebody to come along and just buy it as is, leave me alone. And so we specialize in that, you know, finding those folks in the first place and then giving them an opportunity to unload their property to us.
Yeah. And Lou, you've become so good at it. And I want to give you an update. Since I went to one of your trainings before the whole COVID thing,
right?
We got a $615,000 property.
Yes.
Zero down, nothing down.
Yes.
And then we just signed another one last week, a little rental. We got it for 65 grand. It's worth about 80, and zero down, nothing down on it. So
I'm loving it. I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. You know, that's the magic of this business because, you know, a lot of people think that it's about the money for the seller, and it's not. It's about the psychology of being rid of the problem. And for a lot of people, it's not at all about the money. So, and if it is, we certainly want to help them, and we want to give them whatever money they actually need, not maybe what they want, but what they need to get to wherever they need to go.
Well said. Yeah. Yeah. This seller, he didn't need the money, the more expensive one. And he wanted it. He's like, I want cash. And I said, well, what are you going to do with it? He said, I don't know. I'll put it in the stock market. And then I said, did you see what just happened to the stock market? Like it crashed. And I said, your house is beautiful. Like this is a good asset. And he said, yeah, you're right. And it's funny, the whole time that I was talking with him, I actually pictured me as what would Lou say? What would Lou say?
Yeah, baby.
And so it was a lot of fun. I just wanted to share that with you because it meant a lot to my family and our business now, the little seeds that you planted in our minds.
Well,
Thank
you know,
you.
when you and I were talking about that before, you were saying, I want to have a family home, but I don't want to pay anything for it.
Yeah. You're right.
And actually that's what I teach, because the thing is that your personal residence actually is storing money. It's storing equity, and that's equity that could be used to purchase other properties that are actually income producing. So a lot of people get their head on wrong, and they think that the house that they live in, you know, is their asset. Well, it is an asset, but the thing is, it can also be a foundation for a lot of other assets. So an interesting way of looking at it is that your next house you can buy, and as you well know, Nate, I call them $10 houses. And that you could literally go out and buy a $10 house. And that means that maybe the house is upside down. And by the time you get through with discussing it with the seller, it's obvious that there's no money in it for the seller, and there's no money in it for you either. But there could be money in it if the paperwork is a certain way, and you can use that information, that knowledge, to be able to do a workout and a settlement with the bank. Then that's where your profit can come from, is from the bank, not from the seller. And so during that process, you could actually be living in the home with literally zero payments as well. So not only zero down, but zero payments while you're negotiating with the bank. So there's just a lot of ways that your personal residence can certainly not be a hindrance to you and be taking money out of your pocket, but actually giving you an opportunity to invest in other properties.
Yeah, this is brilliant. This is good stuff. And you got a lot of comments on here. You got thumbs up from Brian, and I hope I'm saying this right, but Tomlaslav. You've got folks over here. You've got Joshua saying awesome stuff. Helga made it on. Awesome, Helga. And those of you that are listening right now, let us know the biggest takeaway that you've heard from Lou so far, or any questions that come to your mind. Go ahead and use that chat feature now. Let us know the biggest takeaway so far, or any questions you have, and I'll get them to Lou. I know Lou's got more stuff he wants to go through, so I'll stop cutting you off, Lou.
Oh, no, I love it. I mean, this is an interview, so, you know, we can go in whatever direction you'd like to go in.
I want to go through flattening the curve, man. What other wisdom can you bring to us? Like we're in interesting times.
You know, I mentioned about Aunt Mabel, and she became a landlord, right? So she was renting out these various duplexes to other people and collecting rent, and she had a landlord-tenant relationship, right? And as I got into the business and as I acquired more and more properties over the years, I kind of stood back and I looked at the business and I said, you know, I really hate landlording. I don't dislike it. I hate it. And the only reason was that there was never that happy place in the relationship. I had to come fix something. I had to do something. Every time you got a check from somebody, there was a list of things to do in there, your own honey-do list. And you know, over time, I just really looked at it like the people were there, they were using the space, and they were paying for the space. By and large, they were paying. But there was always that thing of when they moved out, big mess, lots to do, big expense and a delay in getting it ready for the next person. Of course, I'm still writing checks for mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, repairs. And then when we finally get done with that, I can put it on the market and find somebody to move into it. Well, what I really discovered is that I could flip the script, so to speak, with the folks that were living in my homes and say, look, we want to see you win at this game. We want to help you to end up with home ownership, whether it's this property or whether it's a different property. We know how to do that. So we'll work with you. We'll put you in credit restoration. We're going to take a look at your credit report. We're going to put you in credit restoration, and we're going to help you through this process of getting yourself mortgageable. And then you can buy the property from us. You could buy a property from somebody else. We can help you find a property that is what you're looking for. And so what happened over time, Nate, is I started doing lease with the option to buy, which was so cool. And back in the day, builders used to do that just to get into another season, maybe to get through the winter. They would rent out a house that they had built, but they hadn't been able to sell yet. They would rent it for a season, maybe 6 months. And then they would get an option from the people moving in so that, you know, maybe in the spring, they could buy that property. And I said, well, that's a great concept, but a lot of the people that I work with, there's no way they could do that in 6 months. So what if I gave them a year? And then I started out by giving people a year rent with the option to buy that property for a year. Well, that didn't work out so well. A lot of people weren't able to get their act together, so to speak, within 1 year. And so then I came up with the marvelous idea of giving them a 3-year option to buy. And we fixed the price for 1 year. Then after 1 year, the price would appreciate 0.5% per calendar month until they exercise their option to buy. So there would be a hedge against inflation for me, and there would be an incentive for them to go ahead and purchase the property. Well, that worked out pretty good. And then also I discovered that there was people out there that had more money to put down, not just an option fee, but actually they had money, but they couldn't qualify for a loan at the bank. And so I discovered that I could actually be the bank for them. And so we created that as part of our plan. And then over time, I actually created an entire system called the Path to Home Ownership. And so our Path to Home Ownership plan is literally to market it that way, giving people the opportunity to step into our membership. And by joining our membership, we're actually going to work with them to find a property that matches their situation, the amount of down payment they have, the amount of whatever their credit is, wherever they stand right now. And by the way, when people respond to our marketing, sometimes they actually have good enough credit and good enough down payment that we can sell them a property. So it's a whole other paradigm because the other thing I wanted to flatten was my expenses curve. You know, it was expensive to be a landlord. Sometimes a property may only have a couple of $100 in cash flow in it. And so then a water heater goes out and all of a sudden your cash flow is gone for months or maybe a year or maybe 2 years, just depending on what you have to do to the property. So I said, what if I flip the script again? What if I flip the script and actually have people that want the property that I have and they want to pay me because there's something in it for them? And what if I actually give them an opportunity to not have to worry about going to the bank, but that we could be the bank for them? And that I discovered that they were not only excited about that, but they were interested in it and that they would actually fix up the property to very nice standards because it was their house, not my house. So suddenly I'm seeing people buying $150 ceiling fans and putting in hardwood floors and painting every room a different color and whatever. And who cares? That's what homeowners do. So I want them to look at it like a homeowner would. I want them to think like a homeowner. I want them to go to Home Depot and buy a whole bunch of flowers and put them in the yard and do landscaping, just like a homeowner would do. So we call them homeowners in training, and we actually put them into the process. We teach them what to do and how to do it, and they love it. So as a result, we discovered that in our world, we could actually have multiple profit centers that are over and above what a traditional landlord would have. So that was another whole paradigm in our world that just opened the door for additional income, happier clients, longer term clients, ones that would take the house as is and fix it up. And it gave us the opportunity to help somebody, make a difference in their life. Not just them making a difference in our life, but us making a difference in their life too.
Man, and I don't, maybe you've studied this, maybe you haven't, but I can certainly see how you flattened your expenses, because maintenance is the killer for most landlords. Turnover costs and then repairs that happen throughout the tenancy. Have you studied the difference between before and after?
It's so remarkable. And it's really a mindset change. It might not even be different people, right? Mm-hmm. That somebody comes to you with a tenant mindset, and you're coming with a landlord mindset, and you're having that relationship together. There's nothing really in it for either one of you, except you get a check. That there's certainly something in it for you, and they get space, because really, let's face it, that's what we sell. We rent space to people. Yeah. And so, what extra is in it for them? Really nothing, just that they got space. And so I said, if I gave them an incentive that would help them down life's road, then they would be more maybe considerate of the property. Maybe they take better care of it. Maybe they would want to pay me instead of have to pay me. And that I would be able to create some additional things along the way. So we created in our system bonuses every month that they pay us on time. We give them a bonus towards the purchase of the property. And then when they build themselves up to the required 10% down at owner finance level, then we are able to credit them with these bonuses that they've earned along the way. So we're helping them as well as them helping them to get to that next level.
This is great. Okay, so we've flattened the rental expense curve. We've flattened the buying curve by being able to go and skip the banks altogether. How about the selling side?
Oh, wow.
How do we flatten the selling side?
Well, there's an amazing thing when you go to sell a property, and it's called cost to sell. So when you're flipping a property, you may list it with a real estate agent, so you have a real estate commission. And then, of course, they're going to bring a contract that says that you have to pay their closing costs. And then, of course, that contract is going to have in there that you're going to have to buy them a home warranty. And then it might have in there that you have to buy them some new appliances and other fix-ups that they may require, that, they hire a home inspector to come out and give them a whole list of stuff to do, give you a whole list of stuff to do. So by the time you're done with your cost to sell, a whole lot of your profitability has been eaten up. So I flattened the selling curve by actually having customers in my property. So what we do that's quite unique is that I'll cover that when we get to the risk curve, right? So the risk in this business, but in the selling curve, you definitely have expense. Well, when I'm selling it to one of my customers that's already living in the house, zero cost to sell, zero cost to sell. So what we found is this method that I'm laying out for you, called the path to homeownership. This method is actually yielding us about 30% more profit than a traditional flip. So now Zoom, because we held on to it for a little while and we received income along the way and we helped someone, we actually make about 30% more.
Staggering. And I can see that right up front. I mean, if I'm going to sell with a realtor, I'm going to pay 6% all day long. Maybe I get a discount guy for 5%, but it's 6%. and then I'm going to pay closing costs anywhere between 2 and 5%, depending on what's negotiated in the land. Wow. So you get the tenant inside your property, you skip 11% right off the top.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
baby. That's what we
Yeah.
say. Yeah, baby.
Yeah. And you got a fan on right now too. Scott's on and he says, hey, Lou, baby. Always good to see you, my friend. Yeah, baby.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad to hear from you, Scott. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, this is good. This is gold, like super good. Okay. Tell us about the risk curve. Flatten this risk curve for us.
So here's what happened for me back in that other cycle that we were talking about a few minutes ago. The challenge was that at that time I was buying and flipping. I was just doing a whole bunch of flips. I had a lot of rentals at that time. I had a lot of income producing properties. So we would buy them right. We would buy them cheap at auction. So I actually bought a lot of properties at these ballroom auctions, lots of people there. I learned the whole methodology. There's a whole underpinning to auctioning. I actually wrote a whole system on auctions. I love them. I love them. And it's just a fun process. But what we had done was buy about a dozen properties in '08, and we bought them right. We bought them cheap. We fixed them up beautifully. I'm talking granite countertops. I'm talking dormers, new front porches, decks, nice. Sunk a bunch of cash into these properties. And the system had been rolling along for us just very nicely. This one area of Atlanta is called Kirkwood. They used to call me Mr. Kirkwood because I bought like every other house on the street, not every house, but every other house. It's kind of like you could roll down the street on that one, not that one, that one, not that one, that one. But it was fun. And we were just doing a whole lot of renovations. And all of a sudden, it's like musical chairs, right? They cut off the music, and if you're left standing, you're left standing. You're out of the game. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. They cut off the finance switch, and we didn't know it, and they didn't tell us. So we had people raising their hand saying, I want to rent one of your properties. Excuse me, I want to buy one of your properties. And we would put them into the loan process, sign the contracts, the whole bit, and they would get turned down. And we were going, what's going on? And they said, Mr. Brown, we don't have any place to put these loans. There's nobody approving any loans right now. I said, say what? Say what?
Yeah.
You don't understand. I got a dozen properties all fixed up. And they said, yeah, we don't understand either. And so what it did, of course, is it created an incredible inversion in the marketplace because there was nobody that could buy. And there was all these people that wanted to sell and they couldn't sell. Many of them had hard money loans on the property. It was just a big mess. And so I said, you know what? I stepped back from my business. At that point, I have been in the business about 25 years. And I said, man, when I look back, I said, this business has always been a great business. And I've never really had troubles finding properties to buy. But when it went to selling, it was always a mystery. Like, when is it going to sell? How much is it going to sell for? Is the market going to change? Is financing going to be present? If they increase the interest rate on the financing, that's going to impact my price point. I mean, all of these different variables. Oh, by the way, and is somebody going to break in and steal my appliances and steal the carpet and steal the copper and steal the air conditioning? Do I speak from experience? Yes, I do.
So you've lost an AC unit or two?
Ask me how I know. So I've financed a lot of people's lives with my air conditioning units. But, you know, it's just interesting that was always the difficulty in the business with the selling side. So I said, how do I flip the script on this? And what I discovered and what I created back then was this thing called the House Monster. And so what the House Monster is a marketing system to go find me buyers before I buy the property. So I started with those 12 properties and I flipped the script and I said, I'm going to totally focus on finding buyers that maybe I'm going to finance, Maybe I'm going to do a lease option. Maybe I'm even going to do rental. I got to do something to get these properties sold. That's exactly what I did. And out of that came finding the buyer before you buy. And that system is called the House Monster. And so as a result, I still to this day have people signing up, literally today, signing up for the House Monster, because they realize the intelligence in that of going and finding a customer first before you take any risk. So that's what I call flattening the risk curve, because you really don't have the risk when you go a different direction, when you've already got a customer. Because what happens is when they come into our world, we actually interview them. We find out how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, we find out the location they're looking for. We find out how much down payment they have, how much they can afford on a monthly basis. We look at their credit, everything. And then we go find a house that matches their situation. So now I've got the whole MLS, I've got marketing through you, I've got, you're bringing me the Facebook ideas, and folks are raising their hand and say, yes, I want to buy a house. It's just fantastic. And sellers too. So with our methodology, we're able to then go and buy that property with confidence, and even maybe at less than as much as we would have had to buy it for if we were taking risk. And the reason we might be able to increase our offer on that property is because I already have a customer, Nate, and I've already proven that they've got 20, 30, 50, $100,000 to put down on that property. So they're a happy campers. And what I do is put it under contract, then bring my customer over to look at it. If they like it, we buy it. If they don't like it, we don't have to buy it, because my contract is subject to inspection.
This is brilliant, Lou. And by the way, the House Monster is awesome. I had the privilege of looking at it after our last session, and I did get one of the, so taking it from paper form to digital form, social media, I did get one to work really well, one of your ads.
Yeah, baby.
So it's the one where you basically make a call out to the realtors. Are you leaving money on the table, essentially? And that one is killing it right now on Facebook. So
yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. That's
yeah,
good stuff.
yeah. So if you want it on for Tucker, let me know and we'll get it turned on.
Absolutely. The cool thing about, the testing the market like you're so good at, is that we really have a multiple different ads that we run, so that we can be, kind of like, without having the same ad running all the time, we can touch different people, different thought patterns at different times. And so that is part of what the House Monster is just literally all the different marketing strategies and steps. So one of them is online, as you know, and then the other is field marketing, and then there's print marketing, and then there's on-site marketing, and then our auction marketing, where we auction off the down payment on the property. And so creating an auction atmosphere for people to come in and bid on the down payment on the property.
You really do love your auctions, man.
Exactly.
Okay, Lou, can I fire a couple questions at you too?
Absolutely.
We'll let you catch your breath a little bit, but as I read the questions. So Josh is asking us, learning about a trust. I would like to learn more about how to purchase a property with a trust.
Wow. So Josh has put his finger on flattening the protection curve.
Yes.
That hadn't even mentioned it yet. So Josh is brilliant. So yes, I'm very well known for the trusts. I've been doing trusts since 1984. And by having learned what trusts are and how they work and the magnificence of this entity, I mean, it's truly magnificent. And I thank God for showing me trust way back then, actually taking something away from me to cause me to have to learn it, right? Because they took away the NE and Q loans and caused me to have to read that law that caused me to have to learn about trust. And so what happened is I discovered something that is so unknown out there in the world, yet it's the best entity ever. So it's almost like the elites have absolutely nailed trusts. They use them. All of the elites, the very wealthy in this country and in this world actually use trusts, and they don't tell us about it, right? They have everybody else use LLC corporations, limited partnerships, creatures of the state. Now, what's interesting about a trust is it is not a creature of the state. It is a contract. It's a contract between the trustee and the beneficiary. So the cool thing is, once you create the trust, you now need to fund the trust. So to answer Josh's question is that it's simply, and this is going to mind boggle most of you, it's simply deeding the property that you currently own, deeding it from your name into your trust. And we don't name the trust your name because there's also another curve we want to flatten, and that's the privacy curve. Because unfortunately, there's people out there that want what you've got. They just don't want to do what you did to get what you got. They just want what you got.
Well said. Well said.
So they just want to kind of bypass that whole thing like looters, right? They just break the windows and take the stuff. What this buying thing with money in your pocket? Wow. So old school. But, the thing is that with trusts, you can have privacy. And the reason is that the ownership transfers from your name into a trust name of your choosing. So you actually can create a trust name. It now owns it, and you don't, by the way. You might be the beneficiary of the trust. And you might say, well, now, Lou, how can I now go manage the property if I don't want people to know I'm the owner? Well, because the trustee of the trust is going to hire you as the manager. So yes, I've got a lot of stuff. And in fact, Nate, I'm happy to give you a link. People can download my little mini book on trusts. And, the cool thing about this discovery of trusts, I was a guy from the streets, right? I was a little guy. I was a guy who had no money. And when I discovered these things, I realized that there really are things that are suppressed. There's really great information out there that they simply don't want you to know. And so they don't teach it. They don't teach it in the schools. Your attorneys don't even know. Your CPAs don't know. And yet it's sitting right there, available for everyone. So it's not a thing that you have to have the key to unlock to get into it. It's out in the open. And one of my favorite sayings is the secrets are hidden out in the open. The secrets are hidden out in the open. It's up to us to learn what we're looking at. So the use of trusts is available for every one of you. And it's one of the most important things that you could ever do in your life, because an LLC, a corporation, or limited partnership, those things do not transfer ownership at death. It causes the attorneys, it causes delay, it causes expense, it causes all kinds of things to pass to the next generation, except for trusts. You see, inside of a trust, you're already naming who's going to get it when you die. So you're named as the primary beneficiary, and then your spouse, your children, whomever you may choose is the successor beneficiary. You pass away, it automatically goes to the heirs. No courts, no probate, no delay, no money, nothing. It just automatically, already in the trust, passes to your heirs. When I discovered that, it was like, holy cow. And you mean there's this whole industry out there called probate, and there's every county in the country has a probate court, and there's probate judges, and there's all of this layer of stuff that could be avoided. Why didn't they tell us? So I made it a mission to tell people about trusts. I think it's one of the best things on the planet, and it's something that everybody needs.
I'd say, and Josh just said, Josh is the person that asked that question. Josh said, this is absolutely gold. Thank you for this. This is good. This is good.
Fantastic. That's
Lou,
great, Josh. Thank you.
We got another one from Mickey. Mickey's asking, when becoming the bank, are you purchasing the home in cash and churning around to the seller? Are you purchasing the home in cash and churning around to a seller to finance the deal? Or is there another way to get to the property to create the deal?
So actually, there's about 37 ways.
Woo!
So what I discovered is that the successful investor really becomes a counselor, and the successful investor learns to ask questions. And so I created a seller questionnaire where every single seller would be asked the same questions. So as a result, I was able to compile the very things that would uncover the possibilities in that deal. And so the first place I start with is the seller and their situation. That's one of the questions I ask. What is your situation? And then I shut up and listen, and I discover what's going on in their world. Well, as a result of doing that, I'm able to uncover what their needs are, not what their wants, what their needs are. And as a result of that, then I can structure the transaction in a way that gives them what they need and gives me the profitability. So one of the things that we do when we sit down with a seller, I actually have this sitting right here. I was just doing a presentation with a seller, but one of the things we do is that we have a presentation that we do with a seller, and we tell them who we are and what we do and how we operate and how we can help and how we're different than other people and how much it's traditionally going to cost them to sell their house and how we're different than a traditional buyer because we can buy today, we can buy as is, and here's some people that we've helped in the past to be able to solve their problems. So we've got testimony, we've got credentials, and then we talk about how we can actually buy their home. So we've got a myriad of things that we prepare them for. And I use this as an education process for my sellers. So then I get to the magic cost to sell worksheet. So as a result of the cost to sell, I'm able to actually have the seller along with me come up with the offer price. And so along the way, and see, I look at it as education. I'm educating the seller on the fact that there is going to be a cost to sell the property. So once they have that clear in their mind, and that I'm not telling them it's their cost to sell, I'm telling them it's our cost to sell their home when we go to sell their home. So can you help me? And so what I do when I get to that part in the presentation, I say, what do you think? And I answer questions. And then I say, okay, I've got good news for you. I can actually purchase your home today. The company has authorized me to actually make you an offer. Before I can make you an offer, I have to calculate what it's going to cost us to sell your home. I've got this sheet here. It's called our cost to sell worksheet. Would you mind if you just read those things to me? I can do my calculations and you can write them in. So the seller's literally participating in helping me come up with the offer price on the home. And it's psychologically, it's wonderful because number one, they get to see that there is a process. They see that there's some accounting that we have to do for what we pay for a property. We're not just hitting them with a number, the first number that comes to our head. They can see that we're scientifically arriving at the number. And they love that. They love that. And the other thing they love, frankly, is our path to home ownership. And so we tell the seller when we're actually making the presentation, congratulations, we're going to take a look at your home today. We work with sellers like you and houses like this in our program. It's called the Path to Home Ownership, where we help deserving families, regardless of credit or financial background, to end up with home ownership. If we're able to do business today, then your home is actually going to be used in our program to help a deserving family. How does that sound? And you see, so we get the seller emotionally involved in, and it's the truth. Everything I said is absolute truth. And so when we're working with that seller, they're actually playing along because they want to see their home. I mean, they raised their kids there. Grandma died in the back bedroom. I mean, this is a big deal, you know, and they're emotionally attached to that house. So they love the idea that it's going to be used in this program. And then another thing I do, Nate, is I present them with our book, and it's called Doing Good While Doing Well. And so then I tell them that that we're actually part of a nationwide network of affordable housing providers. So as a result of being a part of that network, I wanted to present you with this book. This is something I'm going to leave behind so that when you have a chance tonight, I'd just love you to read some of the chapters in here about other folks like myself that are actually helping people to attain home ownership in their local markets. So now I'm dealing with the credibility issue. Like, can this guy actually perform? Can this guy's taking over my loan. He's talking about taking over my loan, for God's sakes. Is he going to make the payments? Is it going to wreck my credit? So establishing credibility is a very, very important part of this process. And so that's how we built out the presentation process to be able to, flatten that, the no curve. Make the no a yes.
Part of flattening that no curve, Lou. So you really just tell the truth? You tell them everything.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And they love it.
Yeah.
And one of the things is the magnificence of our websites. So they're able to go to our website and confirm everything I've said, or they've already been there probably, because when we make the appointment, we've already invited them to go read the website, and it explains the whole program. So they're able to, already have some preparation. And then when we come, we represent. We do the live presentation, and then we provide them with the book, because that's part of the law of reciprocity. Giving something, you get something. They get connected to what you're up to. And by the way, they really love that. That's a really nice aspect, because one of the offers we may be making, let's say that they do have $50,000 worth of equity in that property. And like you said on your deal, they didn't actually need the cash right now. And so because of it being used in our program, they're actually willing to wait in many cases for their equity until our buyer buys the home. So when our buyer is qualified and gets a new loan from the bank, that's when we pay off our seller in some of those scenarios. So the answer is there's a long-winded answer, but the answer really is that it depends on that seller. It depends on their situation. Maybe they do need cash today. And if they need cash today, then I'm going to get that money from a private money lender, someone's IRA, 401k, or personal funds. And then we're going to use that cash. And I teach people what to say and how to say it to be able to raise that money. And so then once you have those lenders that will lend, and by the way, there's like trillions of dollars sitting in retirement accounts right now that's just idle, earning 0.0 something percent. And so you come along and offer them 4%, they love you. That's bank rates. And so that's one of the places that we get our money from if it's a cash deal. So that seller, if they need cash, that's where I'm going to get my cash from. If they have existing financing, I'm going to take over the existing financing. If they have equity, I'm going to get them to carry back that equity in the form of some kind of payment plan, whether it's a single payment or an annual payment or a quarterly payment or monthly payment, whatever the case may be.
Lou, I love this. And so by you being totally transparent with the seller, building rapport, building credibility, showing the entire process, it's very similar to something that the iBuyers did. They're not as sophisticated to this level, but the iBuyers didn't exist in 2013. And then 2014, you got Open Door, and then OfferPad, and then Zillow. Well, in 2018, they went from 0 houses in 13 to 18, Open Door bought 10,000. And so when I saw that, I'm like, how did they just do that? And so I started, the street term is funnel hacking. I started going through their funnels. I started submitting properties to them, rental houses, just to see what they would offer me. And I really geeked out on their process. And what I realized, like from 2018 to 2019, they doubled their market share across the country. I mean, for any segment of the population to double, that's huge. So
Oh, yeah.
I paid attention to what they were doing. And number one, they made it really easy. Okay. It's all online. Cool. I get it. Number two, and this is what you're doing, is they were transparent. The whole process was laid out. Here's the numbers. Here they are. Put them all in front of you so that you can feel like it's actually scientific. It's not some lowball punch in the gut, lowball cash up. No, this is scientific. Here's how we came at our number. And so what you're talking about right now, you've taken what the iBuyers have done and you've taken it to the next level. Now you've got even more options for them. If they can't do cash, then we'll go this way. If they can't go this way, we'll go this way. Oh, I love this. It's like listening to a beautiful choir sing right now.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. It's a masterpiece. Yeah, it's been a 40-year masterpiece. It took me a while to paint this picture, but the thing is, it's all dialed in now, so it's become a machine. It's just a machine that continues to roll. And the fun thing about it is it's duplicatable. So I'm able to show this to other people. And one of the things I teach is to build a community-based business. So literally within your community, there's buyers and sellers. And once you discover how to find them and not refer them out, because that's what a real estate agent would do. No, as an investor, you're going to find buyers, and as an investor, you're going to find sellers, and you're going to make a nicer spread in between than a real estate agent would make. In fact, a lot of, I think we did a survey, 60 something percent of our users of our system are actually real estate agents, because they see the intelligence of adding this onto their world, right? Imagine that you could go to a seller as a real estate agent. You can go to a seller and say, well, congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, your house is sold today. Well, what do you mean house is sold? I haven't even listed it with you. Well, hold on. I'm going to make a presentation to you. And if you like that presentation, our company is actually going to buy your home. And if that doesn't work for you, that's not a problem. We'll go ahead and list your property and see what the market says. How does that sound? You see? So that's my script when I'm teaching real estate agents, because, oh my gosh, how cool is that? Instead of a real estate agent making a half of a commission, which is, by the way, how it works. They don't get 6% and they don't get 3%. They get half of that if they're splitting it with their broker. So they really don't make the kind of money that people think they make. And the cool thing is, when an agent can add this on to what they're already doing, it is remarkable what can happen in their world, because now they become an investor. And they can get one more thing that I love is flattening the income curve. And that's dependable, predictable, residual income. So well, they do call me the king of cash flow, but cash flow is really what it's all about. I mean, yes, we love those big fat checks when they happen, but really your bills come due every month. And so when you build your business in a way that delivers the cash flow to you on a monthly basis, then you've got all bases covered. And when you have those big fat checks coming in, we got flattening the tax curve too, so you can zero out your taxes. So, the idea is that really you put together, you step into a business in a box, so to speak, where all of these things are dialed in. When you've stepped into it, you just learn what to do and how to do it, and boom, you're off to the races.
Lou, this is dynamite, man. I want to ask you a couple questions on flattening the tax curve, and there's a couple more folks that have questions too, but I also want to be precious of your time and all of our viewers on. We've still got a ton of people that are on right now.
Nice.
Lou, if I was blessed with the opportunity to come and hear you, and I got to meet your whole team, and like it's changed the way that I do real estate. If I want to invite my folks here to come and see you, how do we do it? Like, I know the lights are starting to turn back on again, and maybe we can actually come meet in person again and and catch up. But
the pandemic is over. They're turning the lights back on. But absolutely, in fact, the end of this month, we're going to be in Vegas, and we're going to be doing and meeting and seeing people. I'm just so excited to get back out there in the world and seeing people live again. So yeah, definitely Vegas is open. They're very excited about us coming. They've granted all of our people junior suites, and they're being nicey with us these days. And that's nice, because sometimes the hotels get rather uppity with you, but these days they're all nicey. And so what we were able to do is put together a 3-day event at the end of the month. It's called Millionaire Jumpstart, millionairejumpstart.com/Nate, Nate. And as a result of going there, we worked out a special deal with Nate, 90% off. Is that good enough for you?
Woo! Hey, I want that deal.
It's a great deal. It's a great deal. But the Millionaire Jumpstart, obviously, just in this hour, I've given a ton of information. Now imagine that I take all of that now and train you on every aspect of that for 3 days. And that's what we do at Millionaire Jumpstart. So, and they're intense days. This is not one of those events where you start late and leave early and have 2-hour lunch break. That's not us. We start early and we end late. So, and the idea is really that I value your time. So I want to give you as much information as I possibly can, but that's okay. We'll end about 7:30 on Friday night and on Saturday night, and 5:30 on Sunday. And we're just going to make this an intensive learning experience where I'm going to provide you. In fact, I think I have one here. I have a Millionaire Jumpstart manual right here. So I'm going to provide you a manual that's chock full of forms that I'm going to cover during the event. And you're going to have your own version of it. Yeah, baby. You got
see what I keep on my desk every day? It's right there.
Millionaire Deal Maker. Yeah, baby. So this is really gold. This is the essence of the Street Smart system and what we've put together over this time. And of course, when you go to that website, you're going to see an invitation to become a VIP. You can get an upgrade to your seating, an upgrade to your location. You get a cooler full of savings and goodies. You get a consultation with me personally on any real estate deal that you might want to talk to me about, or any issues or trusts or lease options, owner financing, renovations, business management, the whole 9 yards. You get your own personal consultation with me. You get, oh my gosh, we've got so many goodies in there. Oh, DVDs of a prior event. So I'm going to be shoveling so much information at you. You're going to be taking notes. We're definitely going to do class exercises. You're going to learn a lot of things. And then you're going to say, wow, I'd love to see that again. So I've got DVDs of a prior event that you can take home with you as well when you become a VIP. So you got the choice of $99 general seating or become a VIP for $495. And as a result of doing that, you're able to get all the other goodies that you'll see them all listed there, and you can make your own decision about what you'd like to do. But we've definitely put together a terrific 3-day event that I've done for our folks. You're going to meet some multimillionaires there. And I say that because we've actually trained people, and because they always pick up new things when they come to my events, they come back. So you're actually going to meet some folks that are already certified affordable housing providers, already have businesses in their local markets. They're already multimillionaires doing exactly what I'm teaching you, live and in person, right? Not just some video or something, but live and in person. You're going to meet some folks there because I've already seen the registration list. So I already know some of the people that are coming. So I can say that with confidence. But it is exciting. I love to teach. I don't know if you picked up on that today, but this is me live and in action. And so together we're actually going to slow this car down, and I'm going to break these things down for you. You're actually going to get some homework in advance, and then you're going to get some homework after the event as well. So certainly what we're looking for is your success. We want to see you succeed at this business. And I've been a teacher and a trainer since 1987. So I'm very proud to say, you were talking about several hundred folks. There's over 15,000 that own my whole enchilada system. So, you guys will have fun. You can check me out at streetsmartinvestor.com. You can check out certifiedaffordablehousingprovider.com. You can see a lot of different aspects of who we are, what we do. I have a YouTube channel, all of that good stuff. But the real essence of what we do and how we do it is going to be centered on those 3 days in Vegas. By the way, if you can't make that event, go ahead and register. We'll put you into the next event, which is coming up in Atlanta. Whichever event you can get to, of course, the sooner the better, because that's definitely going to help you. We are going to cover trusts there. In fact, we're going to cover buying. We're going to cover holding. We're going to cover protecting all that you create and the technology that's plugged into our system as well. So you're going to be able to see yourself actually in business. You're going to see yourself doing what we're talking about today and taking advantage of all these flattening the curves.
This is great, Lou. Lou, thank you again, number one, for being my mentor. Thank you for sharing with everyone today. If you got like 2-3 more minutes, can I ask a couple more
Nate,
questions?
for you, anything.
I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I just love our relationship. It was great meeting you and great seeing your mind. Your mind is amazing. And what you've been able to put together with your Facebook, literally grabbing people off of Facebook and dragging them through the phone and selling us their properties has been a fun process that you've taught me. And I tell you what, this is it's like a well-oiled machine. It fits together so beautifully.
Yeah, this is good. I want to hear about this flattening the tax curve. How do we flatten our tax curve? Because I've had a couple of years where I feel like the IRS is my peer business partner and they take more than they're supposed to take. That's what I feel like.
It's true. It's absolutely true. For the uninformed, for the untrained, the taxes are there. And here's the interesting thing. I said earlier that the secrets are hidden out in the open. And well, when it comes to taxes, the secrets are hidden out in the open. It's in the tax code. Nate, it's only 82,000 pages. It won't take you long to get through it. But no, what I discovered is that our government is actually willing to bribe us to be in this business. And I call it bribery because it's tax credits, it's tax discounts or things that can reduce our taxes. And it's right there in the tax code. But most people don't know these things. So like, for example, when we buy a property, normally a CPA would do what's called a straight line method, where they take a little bit off for land, the rest of it, they depreciate over 27.5 years. And I discovered, wait a minute, a house is made up of a whole bunch of component parts. Well, component parts wear out a lot faster. Carpet, for example, is only 5 years. So that's componentized. So componentized depreciation can skyrocket your write-offs. And then with the new tax code that President Trump passed, well, they let you write everything off in the first year of expenses. So you don't have to dole those out over multiple years like we used to. And in the tax code, it actually lets you go backwards and remanufacture your write-offs using this method that I'm telling you about now. Even though you haven't been using it in the past, you could use it now and you could recapture what you didn't capture in the past. So that the taxes is something that anybody in the real estate business should not be paying if you're using the method that I shared today, which is what I call the path to home ownership. So that's very much by design, where we have rent, rent to own, owner finance, and cash sale. So because we have all of those elements, all of those each have their own tax benefits. So pulled together, one tax benefits, or you might call them losses, is used to offset the gain in the other type. So Nate, I kind of laugh about wholesalers. Wholesalers, are flipping me properties all the time. I love it. And I beg them to come to my class. I said, please come to my class. Let me show you how much money you're leaving on the table. Hundreds of thousands of dollars once I show this to you. And they go, yeah, I'm busy. I can't come to your class. I say, keep sending me the properties, keep sending me. But what happens to a wholesaler is that they are receiving ordinary income. So when they sell that property, that's ordinary income. You got to pay the taxes next year on that. With our method, we're actually, when one of our folks arrives at nirvana, which is the platinum level in our program, that they're actually purchasing the property with a new loan from the bank, that's cashing out to us, that's money coming to us, but that can all be offset by other write-offs that we've got inside the portfolio. So Nate, that's what I mean by flattening the tax curve.
And you just got to have this mix going on, all four of these.
That's right.
So my wholesaling friends, I'm sorry.
I will teach you. I will teach you. See, there and wholesalers even know it, that there's properties they ought to keep, that they're flipping out to other people because they need that $3,000 or $5,000. That's what most wholesalers make, right, on each transaction. Sometimes you're lucky enough to make 10, but most of the time it's less. And when I can show a wholesaler this, they go, holy cow, this is a whole other world. And I even have, and you'll see this at the event, but I have a side-by-side slide. It's called Willie Wholesaler and Helen Holder. And I do an entire scientific math breakdown on their two worlds. And as a result of putting them side by side, Helen is a multimillionaire and poor Willie has to pay taxes every year and he's got no retirement plan. And Helen's got a $5 million retirement plan. So I'll teach that to you. It's a remarkable thing that once you sit down and do the math on this business, and then you bring in the tax element to it, it's the most amazing thing on the planet when you bring all of these elements together, not just one piece of it, but all the elements together. That's when you skyrocket your profits.
I love it. I wholesaled to a small hedge fund in my area, and I thought that I was doing well by making 5,000 to 7,000 per deal. And I wholesaled them over 100 properties over the course of 2 years.
You're killing me.
No. And he told me what he did. He went and refinanced the whole portfolio, pulled out 100% of the cash that he had in. So he has no more cash in the deal whatsoever. And he still has 30% equity. If he sold it today, he'd clear $2 million. $2 million.
Man, I wish you had met me before now,
Nate. I know.
Oh my gosh. Well, your life would look like mine because we do the same thing. We bought a whole bunch of properties during the last downturn, in addition to the ones we already had. And we put everybody, 100% of my people, by the way, are on the path to home ownership. And so as a result of what we're doing with them, oh my gosh, the cash flow is ridiculous. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And, you know, it's just a gift to be able to show that to other people and say, let me just show you something. If you knew this little bit, you know, it's when I say knowledge is power. Knowledge is power and money, right? And so when you realize that there are ways that you can do exactly the same thing that you're already doing, but you do it in a different way and you have different paperwork, and you have a different process, all of a sudden your profits can increase dramatically.
Yeah. Lou, thank you, man. This is awesome. Anything else that you want to add on here? Otherwise, I want to give people your site and the logistics for this, for your upcoming Vegas trip.
I'd like to say this, that, you know, when people think about real estate investors, they don't have a good thought at that moment in time. So real estate investors really have a very bad kind of feel or taste in their mouth, whether you talk to government, whether you talk to city council, county commission, whoever you're talking to, they're thinking you're a thief. And what I discovered is we actually are not. We actually do great things in the community. We take dilapidated properties, we restore them, we buy supplies locally, supporting the local economy. We hire people locally. We We take blighted properties and put people in them, deserving families. We enroll their kids in the local schools. You know, there's just so many good things that we do to the community, and we get no credit for that. And so I designed a way that that we could get credit for that. And I said, we're going to rename ourselves from real estate investors to affordable housing providers. So as a result, I put together a certification program called Certified Affordable Housing Provider. And that's one of the things I'll be doing in Las Vegas. But, you know, when people can see that you are actually serving the community, not taking away from the community, not taking away from the folks in the community, then all of a sudden you can get such a different listening, and people start bringing you deals. Now, these are the stealth deals that you can't find any other way. It's called word of mouth. It's called relationship. It's called being connected with the community. And I definitely want to teach you about becoming connected with your community and building a community-based business. Because once you do that, then people just start, many of our deals now come from relationships, just other people knowing other people, bringing us a real estate agent, mortgage brokers, my barber. I mean, so many people have brought us deals because of our relationship in the community. So I want to teach you that. And I want you to know that you can make a difference in the world. And that's what we're intent upon. We're intent upon helping others to have a better life than the one they've got. And that's both sellers and buyers and lenders, by the way, people that have idle funds, that we can help them get past inflation and make some money. And so, you know, the big news is doing good while doing well. By the way, every one of you that attends the Millionaire Jumpstart, I'm going to be giving you your own personal book, Doing Good While Doing Well, live copy, so that you can actually see for yourself what this is all about and how many people were able to change their lives because of this. And I just feel better about being a real estate investor because of what we're doing in the community and for people. You know, one of my things is that recently we sold a house that one of our gentlemen had bought. He came into our program. He was in his late 70s, and he had never owned a house in his life in his name. And because of who we were in his world and who he was in his world, then he was able to buy that house from us. And he did everything we told him to do. He joined the credit restoration program. He fixed up the property. He got credits towards the purchase of the home by doing the fix up. Everything we asked him to do, he did. And he got good enough credit and ready to go to the bank. And he said, Mr. Brown, I don't want to leave you. And I said, Mr. Harris, I don't want to leave you. And he said, but you want me to go to the bank and you want me to get a loan over there. I said, yeah, but your interest rate is going to be so much lower because you've got good credit now. He said, I still don't want to leave you. And so we made a deal where I lowered my interest rate and he stayed with us just because he loved us. He loved what we had done for himself and his family. And he says, I don't want to go to that bank over there. I want to stay with you. And of course, that's really what you can look forward to in this, is to have a retirement, you know, where you're receiving an income for the rest of your life. Now, do I have to worry about his roof and his water heater and his maintenance and his yard? No, I don't. He bought the house from us. So all I have to worry about is getting a payment every month. That's about it. So that's what your future can look like, guys. You can start off looking like a landlord, but by the time we're done with this thing, you got an exit strategy built in where you're literally going to be the bank for your clients.
Powerful, Lou, powerful. Man, for anyone that's listening right now, if you can travel, I'd highly recommend going to see Lou. And you guys know me really well. I'm not out there promoting a bunch of stuff. Like I tell you about Social Media Blueprint, but Lou's someone that's special to me. He's a mentor of mine personally. My wife knows him. Lou knows even my little 6-year-old boy, Bianco.
Yeah, baby.
If you guys can get out and see this man, if you can't make it this round because timing's too tight, then ping his website. I think you said it is millionairejumpstart.com
/Nate. Okay. Millionaire Jumpstart but .com/Nate, so you can get the discount for sure. And one of the things that we're doing for you too is Dennis just told me today, one of our team members, that he just got his ticket. It was $90. $90. When did we hear $90 for a flight last time? So literally he's going from Tampa, Florida to Las Vegas, Nevada, round trip for $90. So just know that there's good flights. There's good deals out there right now. And the hotel is very happy to see you come. So we think we're going to have a great time, not a good time. We think we're going to have a great time. And Vegas, of course, is the best place in the world. We're going to be in the downtown area of Vegas, not the big long strip where it takes a mile to go from hotel to hotel. We're going to be in that more concentrated old town area of Vegas, which is just, I love it. I think it's the best part of Vegas, and we're going to be right there in the heart of it at the Golden Nugget. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lou,
baby.
Lou, thank you again for this. We appreciate you. You got people asking how they can follow you. Josh asked how we can follow you, and you got a lot of thumbs up and a lot of thank yous. So I think you made an impact on a lot of people today. Thank you.
Great. Of course, we got the LouTube channel too. So streetsmartinvestor.com/LouTube, LOUTUBE. And I've got a whole bunch of videos there that you can learn some great information from, but definitely get yourself to Las Vegas if you possibly can and join us, millionairejumpstart.com/Nate. And I'll be loving to meet you in person when I see you there. If not, I'll see you on the flip side.
Awesome. Lou, thanks again, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Nate. Night. Appreciate it. Say hi to everybody for me.
Yes. And thank you everyone for coming today. We appreciate it. I'll type the links in the comments that Lou just said too. So if it's easier to click there, they'll be there in just a minute. Thanks,
fantastic. Lou. All right, brother. Take care.
Bye-bye.